The Philip J. administration on Tuesday introduced legislation in the Parliament of St. Lucia to codify in law the appointment of a special prosecutor to investigate alleged acts of corruption by public officers, including elected officials. Prime Minister Philip J. asserts that the law, which also applies to former office holders, incumbents and the members opposite, is no political witch hunt but another guardrail of democracy to ensure integrity in public life.
You see, Mr. Speaker, this government, we want to usher a new level of governance in this country. There have been too many accusations that have gone on that have not been investigated. This is not a witch hunt, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you can't have a situation where government spends millions of dollars, Mr. Speaker, millions of dollars, and the people involved are not called to account for the use of that money. It's not legislation for us or for them. It's legislation to uplift the level of governance in this country. It is legislation that will make St. Lucia stand out as a country where there is zero tolerance towards corruption.
According to Pierre, the legislation will ensure the independence of both the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Director of Public Prosecutions, outlining the separation of prosecutorial powers and instances of cooperation in the conduct of legal proceedings in alleged corruption cases. The law targets self-serving public officials accused of abuse of power and undue influence in the misappropriation of state resources through inducement and other forms of impropriety.
If somebody says that this public official told me, and he can prove, to give me this contract and put on this contract something for me, put on this contract something for me, for my personal use, Mr. Speaker, this act says that if it is proven, that person, if it's proven, Mr. Speaker, under Part 2, it says a public officer or public official shall not engage in corrupt conduct. A public officer or public official who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $300,000 or to imprisonment for a term of 5 years or to both.
Protections for whistleblowers and complainants are also included in the statute to prevent intimidation and the threat of reprisal.
We know about threats that have been made to public officers and have been made to civil servants and have been made to officials. I'm the boss. If you talk, you know what will happen to you. Keep quiet. I say do it, do it. Whether it's right or wrong, Mr. Speaker, this act makes provisions for how a complaint is taken to the special prosecutor, and it protects people making that complaint. Because, Mr. Speaker, we live in a society of fear, of concern, Mr. Speaker. Many things that happen that makes people afraid to talk.
St. Lucia's anti-corruption index had taken a nosedive over the past several years. Pierre contested the 2021 general election as an anti-corruption campaigner. Galled by reports of a system beset by allegations of bribery, influence peddling, graft, waste, fraud, and abuse, he pledged to institute reforms to hold public officers accountable for misconduct.
Acquiring, directly or indirectly, property or resource disproportionate to his or her legitimate sources of income, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is very powerful legislation. It's a very powerful legislation, and I agree, it's powerful and serious, Mr. Speaker. And that is why there must be balance. There must be balance, Mr. Speaker. Public officials are called upon now to have the highest level of behavior. their behavior now is under scrutiny, Mr. Speaker. All public and former public officials, Mr. Speaker. And it means, Mr. Speaker, that we may have to look at the way that they are compensated. Because right now, Mr. Speaker, we are saying that we have raised the bar in terms of behavior of public officials.
The Prime Minister painstakingly explained the process of filing a formal complaint with the Special Prosecutor. Moreover, he stated that the legislation mandates that the candidates for the post and the holder of the office of Special Prosecutor are the highest of integrity and beyond reproach. Joachim du Plessis, HTS News Force.